The American Council of Young Political Leaders designs and maintains international exchange activities for young leaders throughout the world. As part of our fellowship to South Korea in 2011, our first step was to arrive in Washington, D.C. And what is the first thing you do when you arrive in D.C.? Well, you visit the monuments, of course. And one of those just started the whole thing for us, the Korean War Veterans Memorial, which is dedicated to all the people that sacrificed their lives during the Korean War. The cultural experience began the night before we left to Korea. We sat down for dinner with Mr. Peter Shin, the national chairman of the League of Korean Americans, and he taught us how to say hello and thank you, 안녕하세요 and 감사합니다. Yes, I know, I still need to work on my accent a bit. In any event, we took out from DC and arrived in Seoul on April 2nd around 3 o'clock and met with Mr. Hee Chong-kong, the Director of International Exchanges at the National Strategy Institute. And he took us to go see a beautiful and powerful memorial that commemorates the Incheon landing operation headed by the UN Supreme Commander Douglas MacArthur. For a wonderful dose of Korean culture, the group visited the National Museum of Korea. The museum contains 150,000 pieces in its collection with 11,000 on display at any one time. We headed over to the palace and took a walk down the Gwanghwamun Plaza, where people took advantage of it and made some new friends.
He wanted to talk to me, but he said after he was done.
After?
After.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you do that? He didn't even move his lips.
He told me mentally.
I see.
You know what? I mean, so much history. So much just a half a globe away, and here it is. We're in Seoul, South Korea, enjoying something that's unprecedented in our world. It's history, it's culture.
The Gyeongbok Palace, built in 1394, was one of the most important palaces built in the Joseon dynasty in Seoul, and originally made up of more than 100 buildings.
Estamos ahorita en uno de los palacios de Corea del Sur. Este es un lugar donde estaba la familia real.
Is that your little balance problem?
I am. And I haven't even had any of that soju yet.
I think she said it hasn't been repainted in 150 years.
Well, it's something to experience, a good Eastern culture, good Eastern tradition that we're being exposed to right now. I think that the best is yet to come.
Sometimes being stuck in traffic, you just enjoy looking at people, looking at what they do, how they shop, how they sell, look at the different types of things they sell, and of course, the food. The food was absolutely incredible and the companionship was great. And yes, we even enjoyed karaoke. Another great adventure was just going to one of those big markets they have and just seeing the variety of things that they have to offer, and even some things that you don't quite can identify. What is it and how does it taste?
I do not know the name, but you could take a picture of the name right here. And it's kind of spicy. It's like a spicy egg roll on the side.
A little comment on the U.S. delegation.
Oh, they are fantastic. I love them.
No problems at all, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so far it's perfect.
Everywhere you turn in Seoul, it's like seeing the modern embracing the traditional. A great way of reaching out to the future while embracing the past.
Well, we're at an exhibition hall. We're learning a little bit about Korean food. You can see it right here. We're going to cook Hansik Bulgogi. You press the English one, and here we have a nice little icon where we get to go and get to choose the ingredients and put them together to get some bulgogi down.
One of the highlights for me was visiting the Seoul Broadcasting Station, South Korea's TV and radio network. I even got to sit at the news desk. I'm happy to say that I got to try the real bulgogi instead of the virtual kind. I quickly learned also in Korea there are a lot of traditions, and gift giving is very important, and just as important, keeping track of those gifts.
Care to talk about what happened earlier today in the meeting?
Well, we have gifts for the Jeju City Council, Jeonju City Council for tomorrow. I don't know how the bag of those gifts made it into our Gimpo city meeting with us, but it did.
The Republican had planned it well in advance and taken the bag into the
There was a safety. There was extra gifts,
Right.
and they're just-in-case gifts, which someone decided to jump the gun and give them all away. Exactly.
So, Lucas.
Not to name names.
Very exciting afternoon.
Is it Lance?
Our adventure continued, and we visited so many places that I think they're too numerous to mention, but so rich in history that not even the rain would keep us out. We also made hanji paper, which is a Korean paper, very fibrous and very strong. That was a very cool experience. And as we continued to move about and look at different places that were very historic or very significant, we came to realize that our very own host, that's her on the right, had royal lineage. That was kind of cool. We were hanging out with the princess. So we walked around and saw artistry everywhere, even from the lady that was making some delicious snacks with a little ducky on them. Some of our friends actually enjoyed the Korean games, and although they may have done not as good as others, they'd still give it a shot. We walked around, we saw auctions, and when our host took us to lunch, we enjoyed a very popular place, and right off the bat we knew why. Grilled eel.
Can you explain to us a little bit of where we're at? What's going on right
We're in the Korean folk village. There's traditional housing, traditional clothes, and just to show us how it was done long time ago.
The Korean folk village was truly a trip back in time. And not only that, we saw different things like the realization of wishes, where you wrote a wish, you put it in this structure, and you just cross your fingers. We saw a lot of things that were just so unique, like this jail experience where as soon as you walked in, you saw a little group of men that were not quite happy, and you saw some tools that seemed to be something that was used for torture. But in any event, it was a celebration of heritage and culture, and it seemed like everybody was happy. On the very last day of the fellowship, we visited the buffer zone between North and South Korea, which runs in the vicinity of the 38th parallel, better known as the DMZ. This is the joint security area, and one of the things that we noticed right off the bat is that everyone is on standby.
The soldiers have their hands in a fist.
Yes. They're standing at a modified position of Taekwondo or rock ready.